Hey guys, techmadeezy, and thank you so much for clicking on our video today. And let me be upfront with you, the video you're about to watch is going to be a detailed review with testing and everything. Because of that, I will be putting timestamp links in the description if you decide you want to move around. Well, what you have in front of you is the Ecoflow Delta Pro. This thing is a beast. On the bottom, we've got two Delta Pros. On the top, we've got a Delta Pro Smart Battery. And to the left, just for a size comparison, I wanted to show you the Ecoflow Delta Mini and how small that thing is in comparison. Look, if you run a construction site and you want to bring power with you, this is the machine. If you have a home or an apartment and you want a power backup solution that's expandable, this is it. This thing handles 3,600 watts and surges up to 7,200. You can also double the capacity with an accessory coming out soon, and this can go to 7,200 watts and handle 240 volts. In this review, I'm going to do a super quick unboxing so you can see what's included. We're going to take a good look at the unit and all of the ports. I'm going to tease you with some awesome options coming out soon, and I'm going to be doing some testing, so let's get started. Before I start my review, I just want to let you know that Ecoflow got great recognition from Time for the best inventions of 2021 under sustainability. They called this a Delta Pro a portable power plant. So just wanted to make sure you knew that. I was pretty impressed. Yep, the Delta Pro arrived, and that is one big box, almost as big as a yellow lab. Okay, I've got two reminders and one caution. First reminder, make sure you keep this box. Put it in your basement. This is a big box. It's got a lot of cushion in it. If you ever have to return this for a warranty, you'll have a box with the correct foam. Here's your caution. Use your knees. This is 100 pounds coming out of the box. Be very careful. Here's your second reminder. Just take a picture of this label here. This has got your serial number on it. And I know your serial number is on the inside panel, but what if you have that unit somewhere where you really can't access the panel? You'll always have your serial number in a picture, and you can have it just in case you have to talk to tech support or claim a warranty. And that's what you get in the box. A Delta power station. Okay, and let's take a look at the accessories to see what's included. And we get our solar charging cables, okay, MC4 to XT60. This connects to the Delta Pro. We get the car charging cable to XT60. We get a smart generator adapter, and we're hopefully going to get our hands on one of those. I'll put an image up right there so you can see what it looks like. But you can actually charge the Delta Pro with a gas generator. But it's a smart generator, and it provides pure sine wave power, which is really important for all these sensitive electronics. What else do we have in here? We do have our power cord here. And one thing I always like to look at is how thick is the cable. And they do mention it is 14 AWG. You can see that. Okay, so that's a thicker power cable. We do get a booklet. Okay. And we do get DC barrel cable. All right, so you can connect that to the DC port on the side of the unit. And so that is everything that you get with the Delta Pro. Let's take some time and go over cost and a little bit about expansion. So the Delta Pro is $3,699. The Delta Pro Smart Battery is $2,699. The Pro can actually have 2 smart batteries connected to it, giving it 10,800 watt hours. And keep in mind, batteries are simply going to add more runtime. They don't add more power, they add more runtime. The more batteries you can connect to the Delta Pro, the longer you're going to go. And that's why this is expandable to 25 kilowatts. But let me put an image up on the screen so you can kind of get an idea on expansion capabilities. But keep in mind, I'll go over this in the options section a little later on, and that will be in the timestamp in the description. Let's take some time and look at the unit overall before we start looking at ports. So you'll notice on the bottom, this is actually a handle. You push the button in, it pops out. I'd have to say I'm pretty impressed. It actually has a pretty strong locking mechanism. First impression, this thing makes it a whole lot easier to maneuver, as you can see in the video I'm showing you. Now, as we move to the top, you've got these handles on both sides, and this time around they've added a little bit of cushion, and this does help because this unit is 100 pounds. On the right side of the unit, you've got fans here for ventilation. You've got 2 of them, and they do a really good job. As you can see, you've got some branding here as well. And you've also got your wheels, which, by the way, seem made pretty darn well. Now, they won't move when the unit is actually on the floor, because when you lay the unit down, and I'll show you that in a little while, you actually have rubber that's basically holding all the weight. Let's take a look at that real quick. So here's what the bottom looks like, and you can see it's got 2 brackets to hold the handle in place. It also has multiple areas with rubber. So you've got one in the center here, and you've got 2 here. And they're nice, they're thick, they seem made well, and when you lay this down, it holds all that weight, you know. And good look here at the wheels as well, you know, plastic. Might be a more of a thicker rubber, to be honest with you. But again, it just seems made well, which is important, right? Spending that kind of money. Taking a look at the back of the unit. Again, not going over ports yet. Again, another handle here with the nice strong rubber. A good look at the wheels and the design. You know, it looks like a jet, right? It just looks like it's going to take off. And again, more of your ventilation here as well. Lastly, just looking at the left side, the same as the right. Ventilation, your wheels. Let's take some time and go over the front of the unit. Let's turn this beautiful display on, by the way. They are very well known for having one of the best displays on a battery power station. Now, to the left, you have your charge time or your discharge time. In the middle, you've got your actual battery percentage, which is awesome. Not just the bars, but the percentage itself. To the right, on the bottom, is your output wattage, right? What are you charging? What are you powering? On the top, you've got your input wattage. If you're charging AC, DC, solar, and even the smart generator. We'll talk more about that later. As we go down, we've got USB Type A and USB Type A fast charge. I believe these are 28 watts. I'll put that in on the screen in a moment. You've also got 2 USB Type Cs. These are being used more and more and more. I would have hoped to have more of these on this unit, to be honest with you. You can power laptops with these things. You know, 100 watts is amazing, right? You also have 4 20 amp AC outlets, and you've got one 30 amp AC outlet here. To power it, all you have to do is turn this on. It'll turn your inverter on for you. All right, let's look at the side panel here now and go over some of these things. First off, let me start with this guy here. This is an infinity AC port. Now, one of the things that this is used for is you could actually plug in an EV adapter that you can buy separately. I will put that on the screen over here so you can see it. I don't believe it's available at this time, but you could charge your unit at an EV station. Now, be aware, it is not compatible with all EV stations at this time. I do believe there are some challenges with some of the Tesla stations So make sure you know before you go, because you don't want to do any damage. Hey guys, if you're really enjoying this video, take a moment, give us a thumbs up. Brooklyn and I would really appreciate it. Thank you. Let's now go into the side panel here and go over some of these ports here. First off, your serial number is here. Okay, if you ever need it, it's in the side panel. So we start off with the Anderson connector here, and that is 12 volt, 30 amp max. Then you have your car charger, right? Your regular car charger, it's 12 volt, 10 amp max. You have your DC barrel plugs, they're 12 volt, 3 amp max, and here is your power switch to turn those on. Now, if you're going to connect this to your tablet or your phone, you've got your IoT reset here. You just hold this down. The panel will start flashing, Wi-Fi, and you'll be able to connect it to your tablet or your phone. Down here is Bluetooth pairing. So you just hold that button and you can connect via Bluetooth. You do have what looks like an Ethernet here, but this is actually a remote control Ethernet port that you can use. Now, why would you use this? Let's say you have an RV and you need to put this power station in a hard place somewhere in the corner that you're not going to access too much, but you still want to control it. Well, I'll put a picture up on the left side of what the remote control looks like. All right, and the remote control can actually be connected wirelessly, or it can actually be connected via the Ethernet, as you can see here. All right, let's go down. You do have a standby switch. Now, using the standby switch, from what I've learned so far, when you turn this on standby, it means that you can turn this on with your phone or with the remote control without having to come over to the unit and press the power button. All right, and that's it for the side panel. Let's take a look at the back of the unit. Let me start off by saying you do have, again, an option to connect up to 2 batteries. I'll show you a small video real quick on how to connect the batteries. The cable, by the way, is really stiff, so just be aware of that. And you do need to push these in all the way. So as I open up this panel, so you can see, there's a spot here where a clip goes in, and it does need to be pushed in, and it will click in, by the way. So, you can connect up to 2 extra batteries. Now, one thing to note, if you're going to update the battery, it needs to be connected to battery port number 1. If you connect the battery to battery port number 2, you won't be able to update the battery. And I know what you're saying, why do we need to update a battery? But these are smart batteries, okay? So connect your battery to battery port 1. Let's open up this here and we'll take a peek at some of the ports and things you have here. So on the left side, you've got an XT60, all right, 15 amp max. You would connect your solar cable to this, your car charge cable to this, all right. Now, to the right, you've got a power switch for charging, and this thing is amazing. I will show you some videos in a second. So when you leave this up at fast, you can get, I believe, up to 1800 watts of power while you're charging. I will correct myself with a little note right over here. Now, when you push this down under slow and custom, this gives you the option to go all the way down to 200. So I'll show you the app real quick so you can see it. You can go down to as low as 200 and as high as 1800. So this one will give you full flexibility. All right, when it's on fast, that's it. It's going to go for it. Now, why would you need to adjust your, charging? Well, depending on the outlet you're connected to, it might not be able to handle what this machine wants to pull out. And so you could trip your switch. So throwing it on slow custom and adjusting it to 200 or 400 or 500 could really help you charge this depending on your home, your wiring, and where you're going to be charging this, okay? Obviously, here is where you put your AC plug in, and this is your overload protection, okay? So if you overload the unit, you just push the unit in, it will reset, it's ready to go. Okay, so to the right, we've got our extra smart battery. Now you say to yourself when you open the box, wait a minute, they didn't include the cable. Well, they did. There's a compartment on the actual battery where you got your cable and your booklet. Let's take your cable out. And let's set this up and show you how it works. So here's a quick look at the cable, and this is a thick cable, right? It's pushing a lot of power. It needs to be. As you could see here on the top, this is actually where you would push in to release the pin, okay? So just be aware. You know, don't just pull this out. You'll damage the cable and possibly your battery or your power station. So push this in, and that's what the inside looks like. So the panel is open for the battery. All we do is we take this plug and we put it in this way. Okay, so you just take it, push it in, and you want it to grab up top. So you'll see it just grabbed, okay? That the pin goes right on that little top there. This is now in really good. Now again, let's make sure we put this in battery port number 1 because we also want to check for a software update. So same thing, nice and thick, sticks out. Let's push it in. And now your cable is in, and yes, it's odd, but it has to be thick because it handles a lot of power. Now we have our extra battery connected to our Delta Pro. And you can turn on any of them and the other will turn on as well. Now, how do you know it's connected? Well, if it needs to show, as you can see here, one battery and battery. So it's showing that it's connected. Okay, so when you are connected to the app and your unit is on, it will actually show a green line with what type of charge you have, or a red line. So I'm going to click the unit. I want you to also see that you're not going to see the extra battery on the main screen unless you're charging it. If you're charging the extra battery, it normally will show up here as an extra battery. Now, if you're trying to confirm on the app that the extra battery is connected, just go to the little wrench here, the little gear, click on that, go down to specifications. As you can see, there's a dot for the Delta Pro. If I click on extra battery, there's a dot there as well, showing it's connected. And it does give you specifications. If you're not sure of the specifications of the battery or the actual Delta Pro, they're all listed in here. I mean, you've got everything. So if you're unsure, you don't have to run to the internet. You can actually go right to the main screen. Here are the goodies we call the options. You've got the EV adapter, the double voltage hub. You've got the solar tracker, the 400-watt panel, the smart generator, the smart home panel, and even the remote control. Now, I'm going to go into some details with this, but I will tell you, I'm going to put links in the description if you want to see videos on some of these options, and I will also put it towards the end of the video as well. Let's start going over some of the options. The first one I want to go over is the Ecoflow Smart Home Panel. Now, this is not out yet, and I'm not sure when this will be out, okay? But let's take a quick peek at, what it looks like connecting to a smart home panel. And I want you to keep in mind that you can actually have 2 Delta Pros, and each Delta Pro can have 2 batteries connected to it. And you're talking about 21,600 watt hours. But let's take a look at this video real quick. So as you can see, we've got 2 Ecoflow Delta Pros, and they connect directly to this smart home panel, and then they connect to the infinity ports on the bottom of each of the units. All right, and yeah, this can power up your home. Let's take a closer look at the smart home panel. So you have 2 infinity ports on the bottom, and then that middle red button is actually a pause button if you want to pause the power coming in from the Delta Pros. Now, if you open up the panel, you actually have 10 circuits, and you can see all of it on the Ecoflow app, which is going to be huge because you can not only turn off circuits, but you can also see the power that each of them are using as well. Next option is the Ecoflow Double Voltage Hub. Let's take a look at this. So getting the double voltage hub, ultimately you're going to pick up something like this because you're going to need to run 240 volt appliances, such as dryers or heavy duty heaters. You connect it to the infinity ports on the side of each Delta Pro. You'll have to have two of them. Next option is the EV Charging Adapter. This is coming soon. So grab your EV charger, put it in your infinity port on the bottom right, and just be aware it does need to be a certain type of adapter, but now you can charge with your EV, which is awesome. Next option is the Ecoflow Delta Pro remote control. What's nice about the remote control is you can connect it via Bluetooth, you can connect it via Ethernet cable, and you can connect it via USB Type-C. Now, Ethernet and USB Type-C will allow you to take this remote almost anywhere. Bluetooth does have a limit. Check that out in our video, but it's a nice piece to have. Our next option is the Smart Generator. And here it is. We did some testing. So this is a nice look at the unit itself, but let's lay out all of the equipment. So we've got the Delta Pro and the Delta Pro battery. And in order to charge the Delta Pro and the Delta Pro battery, you've actually got to use a special adapter that gets put in the back that'll allow me to connect this long cable that you see here. And this cable has Delta Max connectors, all right? We also have the Delta Max and the Delta Max battery, and you can charge those as well. Next option is the Ecoflow 400 watt solar panel. Now this is a folding solar panel. It's portable. You can take it with you. So here's the panel. And yeah, it's a big panel. I love that it folds up. And later on, we'll share a tip with you on how we actually got it to stay so straight. But look at how the case holds the panel up. I love that. It really works out well. Next option is the solar tracker. Now this is super cool. So what I like about this one is it also works with regular panels as well, not just the Ecoflow panels. But as you could see here, that's a 400 watt panel on there. And the tracker will move based off where the sun is, which is phenomenal, so you don't have to adjust your panel. This is nice. Our last option is the Delta Pro Smart Battery. Now the Smart Battery is 3,600 watt hours. A Delta Pro can connect two of these for a combined 10,800 watt hours. Now, if you want to go further, get a double voltage hub. You can connect two Delta Pros, each with two batteries connected to it, for a whopping 21,600 watt hours. And by the way, these batteries are smart. In order to update them, you just have to connect them to port 1 on the Delta Pro. So the question is, can you weld with the Delta Pro? Well, we're going to find out. All right, I am in the kitchen on the floor because this thing is so heavy. And I'm going to throw things at it to see how it performs. I'm going to keep going up in wattage. I'm going to start off with about a 500 watt dual charger by Ego. All right, you can charge both your batteries at the same time. So let me plug this in. And let's turn on the inverter. Make sure we're getting power here. All right, so it is charging both batteries. And let's watch this and see. right, 400 and change. No issues. 450 watts there. Getting about 460 so far. Fans on. So we're around 460 right now, no issues. Here's a 700 watt charger. Let's see how this does. $500 watts already. Here comes 600. $610. All right, about 615 watts, no issues. Taking a chance here. This is a dual toaster. I don't know what the wattage is, but this should be able to handle a toaster. Let's turn it on. Let's pull these both down. And we're at 1700 watts right now. Wow. Immediately, fans are on high. 1770 watts on the toaster. No issue whatsoever. You can make toast. One known fact, many of the power stations that are out there just can't make you a cup of coffee. These things use a lot of watts. Let's find out. Open it up. Close it. Let's go ahead and do a 4-ounce cup. Why not? $1,400. $1,300, $1,400. Coffee's coming out. We're 13 to 1,400 watts to make a cup of coffee. Think about that. Think about how much wattage you use to make a cup of coffee. I don't know, you might want to go back to a different technique. And it's done. It's used all that wattage to make your cup of coffee, and then that's it. Goes down to 0 to finish it. One day you might need to use a heating gun and you have no electricity. Well, let's try and find out. This is 600 watts on low and 1200 on high. Plug this in. Turn on the inverter. Let me leave it off for a second. Let's start off on low. All right, low, we're about 500 and change there. And is it getting hot? And by the way, I have X Boost off. Just so you'll know, X Boost is off on this. So it's nice and hot. Now we put it on high. And what happens? We are now jumping over 1100 watts. And runs it with no issue. And it's getting very hot in here. Whoa. What about a ceramic heater? Now this guy uses 1,000 on low and 1,500 on high. So let me go ahead and plug her in. Turn on the AC inverter and turn this to the side, guys, because Let me make sure it's off. Oh. All right, I'm going to turn it to the side so I don't cook. Let's start off on low. Just turn it on for a moment. We're pulling 600 watts already, 7, 8. You know, we're already at 1,000. And that's on low. Wow, okay. I'll put the heat up all the way. There's a little dial here. All right, it is getting hot. I'm at a little over 1,000 settled. Obviously the surge was higher. Let's go ahead and put it on high, which is the second setting. Ready? 13, 1400, 1500, 1600. Almost 1700 for a moment there. And yeah, she's cooking. So you look at that, it's settling around 1500, but we had almost 1700 with a surge on that guy there. Running fine. Here's where it gets interesting. I am now going to start to connect a couple of things. So let's turn this on. It's going to charge one battery. I don't think it'll be 200, 250 watts. So let's let that start up. And then we'll keep adding to it now. So we're crawling up. We're crawling up. Let me get the other charger ready. We're at 160, 180. We're going to plug this in next. Sorry about the camera movage. So we're at 200 watts right now. Let's go ahead and plug in, yeah, 225. All right, let's go ahead and plug in another charger. Now we're going up. 300, 400, 500, 600, 700. Are we ready to make toast? We're going to bring the toaster over and plug that in. We're at 850 watts. I'm going to plug in the toaster. All right, let's see what this does. 850, 2,600 watts. Okay, we're at 2,600 watts. Running a toaster and 2 battery chargers. And why don't I plug in the heating gun? I got one more outlet. Let's plug in the heating gun. And just be careful here. All right, 2,600 watts. All right, the heating gun is plugged in, and I'm going to turn that on now. Let's start off with low. 3,100 and change. I'm on low with all of this stuff. Let's turn it up to high. 3,750 watts. Now, this is already using surge because this power station has a 3,600 watt inverter, but it's actually running everything with 27% battery left. Is that crazy or what? Hey guys, if you're really enjoying this video, take a moment, give us a thumbs up. Brooklyn and I would really appreciate it. Thank you. So here it is, a test of 2 400-watt panels by Ecoflow. Now these are connected in series. So I want to share a secret with you. Progresso chicken noodle soup. Get a can. Put it on your solar panel and it will tell you if your solar panel is set up correctly. Look at the top and the left side. And you also will look at the bottom and the right side. And if you don't see a shadow, well, guess what? You are set. And so these panels are pretty much connected the best way they can be. Now, we also connected them using a piece of wood and some screws and some butterfly nuts on the back to really make these as stable as possible. No shade, so these are both other than me standing in front of them for a second. We're going to go ahead and connect the Delta Pro and see what we get. Again, we are connected in series. We're back here. We now have our cables, and we're going to connect them and see what happens. All right. Let's watch this screen and see. All right, 200, 300, 400, 600. So two 400 watt panels producing 600 and almost 50 watts. And that means that this thing says it'll be charged in 5 hours based off that wattage input. Okay, as promised, I am going to be putting links in the upper right-hand corner for a couple of videos if you want to check these out. The first one is the Ecoflow Smart Generator. I did a detailed video on this, so the link will come up in the upper right-hand corner. The next video is the Ecoflow Double Voltage Hub. Again, I will put a link in the upper right-hand corner if you want to check that out. The next video is the remote control for the Delta Pro. Again, I did a detailed video on this. I will put a link in the upper right-hand corner. If you want to learn about the EV Charging Adapter for the Delta Pro, we also did testing at a Tesla charging station. The link will come up in the upper right-hand corner. And the last video we're going to recommend, if you're interested in the Delta Max, we went over the top 7 features and we did a refrigerator test to see how long the Delta Max with the extra battery would go and power a refrigerator. The link will be in the upper right-hand corner. All right, so let's go over some cons and some pros. Now, I will tell you, I've had this for months now, and I've used it in many different ways. So I really don't have a lot of cons, I'm being honest with you. I bought this unit myself, and I bought many of the options myself. So let's start off with the cons. I would say the number one con is this thing is heavy. The weight is definitely a con. This is 100 pounds. And if you get the smart battery, they're around 84 pounds. All right? But the battery technology, lithium iron phosphate, I believe is worth it because you are going to get a ton of life cycles. So that also becomes a pro. The cost is also a con. This is a $3,600 power station. And if you add batteries, they're about $2,700 for each of the batteries. So it gets expensive. I would say the smart battery cable that you get when you buy a smart battery and connect it to this is too short and it's too stiff. So it really limits you to where you can put the battery. I would say that is a con. And I guess my last con is, did I mention the weight? It's talking about 100 pounds. I mean, it is heavy. But let's jump into the pros because there's a ton of pros. I really like this machine, I got to tell you. So number one, for me, and these are going to be in no specific order, but I believe this is definitely number one, the lithium iron phosphate battery. Wow. 6,500 cycles and the battery goes to 50%. This thing will last for years. I mean, think about how many times you can charge and discharge this unit and this battery. I love the display. So that's another pro to me. It's large, it's clear. You've got the battery percentage, which is nice. You've got your input, your output. You know your charge and your discharge status. they made it right and they made it bigger. Because if you look at the original Delta and then you look at the display on the Delta Pro, I mean, it is phenomenal. It's a nice size. Another pro is it's expandable. You can go from 3.6 kilowatts all the way up to 25 kilowatts, basically powering your home. I like the wheels, I like the retractable handle, and I like the carry handles on top of the unit. When you're going to lift this, you're going to need those two carry handles on the top of the unit. I also like that this has so many ways to charge. You've got EV charging, you've got AC charging, you've got solar charging, you've got DC charging, in your car and your RV. You can actually charge by Smart Generator if you decide to get that. And guess what? In the future, you possibly have wind turbine charging. It's not announced. It might never come out, but that is something that might come out. I have one or two more. I would say the app support is phenomenal. Being able to do updates on the Delta Pro, to control the Delta Pro, and also to check the status on the Delta Pro when you're using it, which is really nice. And I love having that remote control, by the way, too. Think about the options as well, right? So you can get a smart generator. You can get a smart home panel. You can get an EV charger. You can get a double voltage hub. You can get a 400-watt solar panel or a 160-watt panel or a 110-watt panel. So there's a lot. And I have to say, guys, I mean, this thing is a beast. So those are my cons and those are my pros. All right, so listen, I'm going to have specs come up right now, right after this, so you could take a look at some detailed specs. Look, if you enjoyed the video, if it helped you in any way, please give us a thumbs up. Honestly, it helps us big time. I say it and I underline it because some people don't give you a thumbs up, and they got something out of the video. And as an influencer, a thumbs up really helps the video. Share it. Share it with your friends and your family. Throw it in your chat rooms. Talk about it. And lastly, we really hope, if you're not a subscriber, we really hope that you subscribe to our channel and become a member of the family. Thank you so, so much. Here are our specifications coming up right now. Let's take some time and go over specs. So the watt hours we talked about earlier, 3,600 watt hours. Wattage, 3,600 watts. As far as surge, you can surge up to 7,200 watts. If you do want to double the capacity, you can get a double voltage hub, which is not available at the time of this video, and that will bring you up to 7,200 watts and support 240 volt appliances. Battery expansion, there are 2 ports, so you can connect 2 batteries and have a total of 10,800 watt hours. This unit does have Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. It does support the Ecoflow app for firmware updates and control. The weight on the unit is estimated at 99 pounds, and the smart battery is estimated around 84 pounds. This unit also supports EV charging with an optional adapter that will be available at some point, but I'll go ahead and put an image up on the screen so you could see what that looks like. Now, let's talk about the type of battery. This is a lithium iron phosphate battery. It is a heavier battery, but it supports more charge cycles, so it'll last you a lot longer than many types of lithium batteries. It supports 3,500 cycles to 80%. Then it supports 6,500 to 50%. Input charging, when you plug in AC, 120 volt will support up to 1,800 watts, and 240 volt will support up to 3,000 watts. Now, if you're connecting this to a solar panel, it will support up to 1,600 watts, If you did go out and buy a unit at Costco, those units only support 1200 watts, so just be aware. Faster charge options are available. When you have a smart battery connected to a Delta Pro, if you combine AC, solar, and a smart generator, you can actually get up to 6,500 watts input for an extremely fast charge. We went over the ports and the outlets, but let's go over them real quick. All right, you get 4 AC outlets that support 3,600 watts and a surge of 7,200 watts. 2 USB Type A 12 watt, plus you get 2 USB Type A fast charge 18 watt. Car charge port supports 12.6 volts at 10 amp, 126 watts max. You get 2 DC barrel ports and 1 Anderson port, 12.6 volt 30 amp, and the warranty is 2 years. Hey guys, take a moment and give us a thumbs up. We'd really appreciate it. As you can see, Brooklyn, she's waving her tail for you. Take a moment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the bell and you'll get notified of new videos we come out with. Also, follow us and contact us on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. We'd love to have you. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.